engine knocking or making noise. First, check the tappet setting. If tappet setting is disturbed, engine will give a knocking noise. Adjust the tappets. Check whether any valve spring is broken. If any valve spring is broken, replace the spring. Then check whether the valves have been stuck up with valve guide. If valve is stuck up, make it free or replace the valves. Then check the valve timing after removing the timing cover. If the timing is wrong, then also the engine will give knocking sound. Reset the timing gears. After this, remove the piston and check the piston rings. If the piston rings are broken, then also it will give knocking noise. Replace the broken piston ring. If piston is partially seized, then also the engine will give a knocking sound. Replace the piston to rectify the problem. Engine oil consumption. Check all the points for oil leakages, such as leakage from front main oil seal, rear main oil seal, tappet cover gasket, and oil pressure switch. Check the color of smoke. If the color of smoke is white, then check whether the breather pipe is choked. If it is choked, clean the breather pipe. Check the valve stem oil seal. If it is leaking, there will be oil consumption. For checking the valve stem oil seal, remove the inlet and exhaust manifold. Check if the ports are wet. Then replace the valve stem oil seal. Check for oil consumption. Top up the oil to the upper mark of deep stick. The oil level must not come below the lower level between the interval of two service. If the oil level comes below the lower level, then check the piston ring end gap. If the end gap is not between the specified limits, replace the piston ring and also check liners for excessive wear. Cold starting. First, check the gravity of battery and voltage of the battery. If necessary, charge the battery or fill electrolyte in the battery. Engine cranking but not starting or low cranking speed. First, check the battery terminals. If they have loosened or there is salt formation on the terminal, clean the terminals and tighten the terminals. Now check the gravity of the battery with hydrometer and voltage of the battery with voltmeter. If necessary, charge the battery or fill electrolyte in the battery. Check the connection at the starter motor. If the connection is loose, tighten the connection. Check the pull to stop lever is in fully off position. Check the fuel in the fuel tank. If there is no fuel, fill the fuel. If the fuel tank cap vent is choked, clean the cap. Check if there is any air in fuel line. Remove the airlock by bleeding. Then check the fuel line if choked. Clean the fuel line. Then check if the fuel filters are choked. Then replace the choked fuel filter. Ensure that the feed pump is functioning properly. Then check the fuel timing and adjust the spill cutoff properly. If then also engine cranks slowly, then check the injection pressure. Now check the compression pressure. If compression pressure is found less, then do the necessary work on the engine. Excessive blow-by. If there is excessive blow-by, first check the compression pressure of each cylinder. If the compression pressure is less than the recommended values, then check the piston ring gaps. If the end gap is more than the wear limits, replace the piston ring. Simultaneously, check the liners. If worn out, replace the liners along with piston rings. Engine giving low power. First, check that the pull stop lever is in complete off position. Then, check the fuel filters, whether they are choked or not. If choked, the fuel filter will generate less power. If brakes are jammed, it will not allow the tractor to utilize its full power. In this case, check the brake settings. Clutch may not be getting engaged properly due to improper clutch setting. There will be power loss. In this case, adjust the clutch setting. Slippage of clutch due to oil leakage from rear main oil seal will also lead to power loss in tractor. You need to replace the clutch plate and clean the pressure plate. Check the fuel in the fuel tank. If there is no fuel in the fuel tank and fuel tank cap vent plug is choked, clean the cap. Now, check the feed pump for its proper functioning. If not working properly, overhaul the feed pump. Check if there is any air in fuel lines. Remove the air locking by bleeding. Check the FIP spill cutoff and adjust it properly. If the elements of the FIP are worn out, then remove the FIP and get it overhauled from an authorized Bosch dealer. Then check head gasket. Blown off head gasket also leads to low power of engine. High oil pressure. First, check the grade of oil filled. If it is not as per the specified grade, replace the engine oil with correct grade of oil. Now check the oil pressure sensor on engine and gauge on cluster for their proper functioning.